Teachers, what has your most successful student gone on to achieve? I'm not really sure since I haven't kept in touch with the two I thought had the most going for them. I know that one of the two got his bachelor's degree in engineering from Case Western Reserve University, which leads me to believe he's pretty successful. Another student that I taught and coached, cross country, is now an air traffic controller. Another that I coached, track and field, but did not have as a student, went on to be a 4-time Ivy League discus champion after suffering from lupus in high school, and now is fairly high up in Hilton International. Ivy Leaguers and CWIU grads are most definitely not the norm at our school. It's a blue-collar lower middle income neighborhood in a mid-sized Rust Belt city. I have nothing to do in this thread, but I go to CWIU and seeing my school mentioned is exciting. My mom's a horticulture landscape teacher at a technical college, and a few years ago she told me one of the guys in her classes looks really scary, like face tattoos, big muscles, over 6 foot, gold teeth grill, mean looked at him, doesn't talk to anyone, and she told me he'd just got out of prison. This had been around the time my state was considering a bill to arm teachers, and as a 5 featuring Bull of Nerves she was really considering it. Fast forward a few months and she brings him up again. He'd gone on a trip with their club and had gotten to know my mom during office hours. Turns out he was in jail for dealing, but has gotten clean and has a disabled son that he needs to care for. He was a really nice guy, she said, just shy and scared and ashamed that he had to drop one of her classes to retake math. She put a lot of time into helping this guy. She helped him make a resume, got him a job, helped him through classes, made sure he went for student accommodation, the whole shebang. This year my mom's been considering retiring. She's worked at the college for like 24 years and figured that was about enough. It's a hard and mostly thankless job, and with a sometimes hostile co-worker and constantly changing bosses, she wasn't sure it was even worth it. She went to one of their industry events and out of the blue this guy comes up and gave her a huge hug. She barely recognized him. He was working at the booth for his employer, all smiles and professionalism in a blazer and button up. He started crying when he hugged her and let her know how good his life's been going since he earned his degree. He got married, his son is in a special school, he adopted his orphaned cousin, they bought a house, his parents are proud of him, etc. My mom called me in tears afterward to let me know she'd be sticking it out at school just a bit longer. For that guy, your mom was the right person at the right time. For your mom, that guy was also the right person at the right time. My German teacher always talked about how his fat student was the boy from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. He even had his doll action figure. My student grew up to be fantasized about by middle school girls across the country. I went to the same high school as Pamela Anderson, had a teacher who was obsessed with her and would tell us stories about her. She was just your average girl in high school. I've had a student go on to play in the NBA, one have speaking roles in multiple movies, one was an early employee of an extremely successful company, and one become mayor of a decent sized city in another state. I teach math, and I'm not sure that my curriculum helped any of them. I have had students do some fancy math things, but I hesitate to call any of them successful. When I was working in the woods, literally, as a wilderness counselor teacher and I had a young man take a radical departure from reality, I mean completely go off the rails with all sorts of really worrisome behaviors. After a record number of physical restraints, me tearing something in my knee, me nearly being hospitalized due to having a severe asthma attack, chasing him on one of his many attempts to flee, I finally just sat the frick down by a nearby river with him. He was like, I'm gonna, long list of threats. Here and I was so effing exhausted and so just done with the whole thing that I just sort of sat there and he sat there and we just figured we'd both just sit there for a while and take a break. So we did that. I gave him a once over after we got our shoes on to make sure he had all his body parts in the right order after 18 million or so restraints, and we walked back to rejoin our group. He immediately started showing signs of improvement. He told me later that he felt surprised by me giving him a physical check despite hours days of endless insanity on his part. He's now nearly finishing a degree in marine biology. Disclaimer, I in no way endorse wilderness therapy programs. His success in life has nothing to do with the program, me, and crappy useless demeaning therapy he received. His success is coming from him being a highly motivated, hard-working young man. You've got to be from the one program that didn't just straight up torture and kill kids for money. I'm a special ed teacher. When I first started, I worked with a little boy with autism. He was nonverbal, couldn't read or even write his name. Most of the time he would crawl under his desk and cry until someone dragged him out of class. It's been 5 years since then and this kid is an absolute rock star. He reads, he can talk, if you're patient with him, and he is almost fully integrated into class. He has taken huge strides since then. It's worth noting, I teach in an underfunded and undertrained school in a remote northern reservation. Having him go to a specialized school is out of the question. And sadly there are many kids like him who don't get the one-on-one teaching they deserve. For him to come this far is just amazing. I truly believe he'll do great things with his life. Edit. He may not be successful in the way OP mean, but to me, his progress is amazing. Thank you so much for the gold. I'm a nanny to a little dude with autism who doesn't speak much, but he's leagues ahead of where he was last year. Reading these stories always gives me hope for him. He's such a sweet kid. I hope this is not late. During college, I was a TAFE for the anatomy and phys section. This was the weed out course for the pre-professionals, pre-med, pred-intect, and the nursing students. One student came along and struggled with the course. The first quarter this individual got the lowest possible passing grade, C. Determined to become a nurse, they studied harder than any other student and became the top student. The following quarters, they became holder of the coveted 100% benchmark. They went on to become a nurse. They were ranked within the top 25% of the class. I'm only in my 5th year of teaching, so I don't have a lot to go on yet. However, one of my students who graduated just a couple years ago ended up taking enough courses to start college about a year ahead. Credit-wise, she is already a junior at the state university and runs a lot of the university's social media. She's a boss and I'm pretty proud. What subject did you teach her? She's a full-time nurse in a local area. She spends all day taking care of the sick, old, weak, and injured. I don't know how many lives she has helped save, but there are many people who are better off and happier in life because of her. Not exactly my student, but she was my student teacher several years ago. She's a very successful music teacher, has written many grants for instruments for her classroom, and was recently named Teacher of the Year in her district. I'm pretty proud of her. I hope journeyman-apprentice relationships qualify here. My second apprentice I ever had is now the head site superintendent overseeing over 4,500 employees. Kid's only 24. I'm not a teacher, but my geography teacher last year told the class about how one of her students wanted to be a serial killer, but got caught after one murder. Moral of the story? Gas stations have security cameras. Doofus. Going to be drafted in the first round of the NFL draft next year. Also, he is a cool dude. He still comes back to school and says hey to us little people that taught him and to be an inspiration to the football team. I taught the one kid, a long time ago. It turns out he ended up becoming the vice president of where he works. As a student he was pretty snarky and really cocky. I disliked him so much at the beginning. I was like, how can you raise someone to be such a stupid person? I was just a student teacher at the time, so it didn't mean much. As fate would have it, I taught him again later on in life. We'd both remembered each other. He'd be college aged at this point. Basically we became best friends at this point, so that was pretty cool. He still had that snarky streak in him and his arrogance had simmered. He basically was a different person than when he was a kid. Things were going great, at least it seemed. The last time I saw him we got in a fight over some really stupid crap. Basically he said and did some crap. I did some crap and things boiled over. His current boss I hold most of the blame for. That creepy bastard pretty much poisoned this guy, and he went from being my friend, almost like a little brother to me, to an enemy. We fought and some crap went down. I got away unscathed but he was hurt pretty bad. He really freaking hated me. Heck, I hated me for doing it. Anyway, like I said, it was a long time ago. Fast forward to today, I'm still teaching, albeit in another place. He's still the vice president at his job. He doesn't know it yet, but I do. My newest student will be my most successful. It's his son. Yes, that's right. I'm teaching his son. In all the luck in the galaxy, I'm teaching his freaking son. Out of all people. Total different story than the old man. He's more calm but ambitious. A cooler head. So I'm thinking he'll be a more successful person than his dad. The real kicker here is his dad has no clue this is happening. I mean, none of this was really subtle, but he was bad at picking up clues. I knew he was a bit stupid, at least as a kid, but as a grown adult, I didn't think he was that dumb. The kid has the same last name as his dad, heck we're even on his same home planet, Tatooine. God dang it, you got me. Not the teacher, my dad is. He taught high school theater. He had several pretty talented and successful students. I remember he had one really funny and talented student come through. I was a kid at the time, but I met her and thought she was hilarious. She went on to pursue a comedy career. She has had appearances on Comedy Central stand-up segments and The Daily Show. She voiced a few animated characters in Bob's Burgers, Gravity Falls and Toy Story 3. She has been in several other movies and TV shows too, like Last Man on Earth and 30 Rock. She's also Kristen Schaal. A top runner with a major shoe company sponsorship. We know it's in the millions and he is under 20. Great kid. Deserves it. Hey, it's me, a top runner. Many of my former students have gone on to great success, which, to me, means doing what they want in life and sharing the company of people who love them. They range from a dress designer to a professional triathlete to a West Point grad to a special effects developer at Disney Imagineering. They are all successes in my eyes, and hopefully in their own. I was voted most likely to succeed in my high school class, and many years later I haven't gotten rich or famous, but I have a great family and an interesting job and a life that makes me happy. That's success. Not teacher, but doctor, and a kid broke his leg. So they came home and he was staying for 2 weeks because the damage was a lot greater than we thought. And so we realized that we have an interest in computers and we spend like 2 hours a day just talking about computers. And he says that he wants to be a software engineer and how he keeps making Minecraft mods and hacking games without a client. Kids going places or going to jail. If you are good enough hacker, you don't go to jail. You get hired for one of many crime syndicates. So there's that. Obligatory, not a teacher, but the valedictorian of my high school class is going to be a doctor of some sort. The valedictorians from my brother and sister's high school classes both haven't done anything. They have massive brains with huge potential, but they have no idea what they want to do with it. Both of them were incredibly awkward, never really found themselves in college, and probably couldn't really land a big interview based on their personalities anyway. But it sucks that some alumni dickhole piece of crap like Eddie Money was successful when these guys aren't. My uncle was a teacher of the rapper Bow Wow when he was a middle school student. This was right when he first started getting known. My uncle says that MTV showed up at the school once and pulled him out of class. I honestly don't know which was the most successful, as I had so many. I can tell you whom I am most proud. My buddy Drew. I worked at a boarding school for at-risk teen boys as the high school science teacher. Some of them had learning disabilities. Some had behavioral problems. When Drew arrived, he was placed in my chemistry class. I couldn't figure out what the issue was. He was a good kid, if a little annoying, kind of clingy towards me, really bad self-esteem, but smart as heck and no behavior problems. When parent-teacher weekend rolled around, I had an appointment for a meeting with his folks. Normally this is just the parents and myself talking about how the student is doing, strengths, weaknesses, etc. They dragged him to the meeting, and I crap you not, spent about 10 minutes of the 15 just berating him for being such a terrible student. Actually, Drew has the highest grade in my class. In fact, no student has received a higher grade since I've been teaching here. A 98 is amazing. Well, why isn't it 100? I almost asked them to leave so I could just talk to him. When Drew graduated, he praised me in his speech. It gave me the will and drive to go another couple years at that dump. Eventually I quit and bought a small business. He was going to college the next state over. Somehow he found out about it and came to visit now and then. He even helped me with some money making ideas. He became more than just a former student. He's now a trusted friend. He may not be rolling in money or fame, but he bought a bar and is doing quite well for himself. He even bought a house. He knows I've been having some rough time, so he's actually flying me out to his state where he and some friends are throwing a gaming con at his house. The guy's basically paying for a short vacation for me. The only thing I can't figure out is why he is single. He has a few interesting quirks, maybe a little overbearing on certain subjects in politics, like he feels he's never wrong in some cases, but otherwise he is awesome. I'm a first year teacher, so my kids haven't accomplished much yet. In a related story, I had a college class with 3 guys who are currently starting players for 3 different NFL teams. That's something. I'm a teacher in the teeny tiny country of Comoros. Since I teach roughly 400 students a year and the presidency cycles between the 3 islands, I have quite possibly taught the future president of Comoros. One of my college English as a second language students, who had already earned a bachelor's degree in her native Colombia, went to undergraduate and graduate school here in the US, and earned a PhD in neurology. She was about to start a research job with some biotech firm. She came back to the community college where I and my colleagues had taught her 9 years previously, just to let us know how she had succeeded and to thank us all for helping her get there. I laughed and told her it wasn't me, it was her. She was obviously smarter than I will ever be. Not me, but my physics teacher in high school claimed to have taught the Manning brothers, NFL stars. He said Eli was the better student of the 2. I feel like I'm just tooting my own horn here, but isn't this what this thread is about? I've been a fencing coach for 2 years. My 2 pupils that have achieved the most so far are these 2 9-year-old twin girls. Just before the summer they won silver and bronze in the British under-10s. Then they competed in the Scottish under-13s. The one that got silver before got silver again, and the one that got bronze got gold this time. Like I say, they are still only 9 and had to beat 12-year-olds much bigger than them to win. I think what makes me more proud though is that they're training even harder since their wins. I'd love to be as pretentious as everyone else making the "I'm that student" joke, but all I do is make cosplay for a living. Sounds like a fun way to make a living though. Doctor reversing FGM. Well, about to be a doctor reversing FGM. She is in her final 2 years. I have a few community workers, social workers, and a few aged care workers. I really respect the aged care workers. They do a hard job for little money. They also deal with their favorite clients dying. Not a teacher, but my friend's kid went from 5th grade straight to high school and is learning Farsi, and that's only because missed the cutoff mark by 7% to be admitted to USC. His 3rd grade teacher was the one who realized he was a truly gifted child. I teach in Medellin, Colombia for a private all-boys school, and we have refuso this week. Those that did really bad have to come this week wearing their uniforms and study like moffas until Thursday and then take tests Friday to see if they'll advance or not. I have 2 kids for English that are coming to reinforcement. One will pass BC, he's smart but just effed off all year. The other will most likely not pass BC, he is dumb. We'll see what happens on Friday. I taught a very socially awkward and smug little boy. From years 4 through to 6 he was one of my pupils. He was like a human computer with knowledge and facts, but he didn't just memorize and parrot these facts. He interpreted them and formed his own conclusions from them. His name is Elon Musk, and I hope I played some part in shaping him as a person. I have troubles believing this. My middle school teachers really treated me as a loss because I was not too smart, not athletic, or the at-risk youth to save. Basically take them out to theme parks. Recall teachers making fun of me because I did not get it. Fast forward, own my house at 25, worked in several Fortune 100 companies and traveling the world. I did wish I had one teacher in my life that gave me the sense of hope for my future. Several doctors, lawyers. One of them is our personal lawyer now. One girl moved to NYC to write for BuzzFeed, and now writes for multiple, more reputable publications. One of the boys is getting his PhD in anthropology with a focus on Latin dance as a cultural artifact, which I think is super interesting. One is on The Voice this season. Some have started their own businesses, and some are musicians. I've been so lucky to have lots of great kids over the years. The Nintendo Wii. Everyone was freaking stoked for the Wii. Then less than 6 months later, most people were over it. Wrong thread lol. Used to be a Tay, but a guy I knew is slowly shaping back up. He used to be terrible when it came to life. He got kicked out of the university 3 times. He treated his girlfriend like crap. He was hated by his family. He drank. He smoked. He slept a lot, and he even screwed up and got into some legal trouble. According to a friend who passed the class, he is doing better now. From what I heard, he has patched up relations with his parents, is doing well in community college, and is thinking about heading back to his country to join the military to get some discipline into his life. He's dropped his vaping and drinking and instead is focusing on an old hobby of playing the piano. I'm not sure how long this path will last, but I hope for the best. The young lady is now an engineer doing something with rocket scientist. She probably wouldn't remember me, but it's nice knowing I helped along the way. One of my mom's students was on the news for killing someone. Does that count? In all seriousness, I think one of her kids got accepted into an elite music school before college age. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.